If you want to practice your alternate picking for guitar solos in the key of E minor, this is the perfect video lesson for you. I'm going to give you four exercises to go through here. And again, this is based on alternate picking, but I'm also going to share some little tips that I do in my guitar playing that makes things a little more fluid when I'm playing, especially when alternate picking. And these tips are going to help you tremendously, I promise. Also, before we get into the lesson, we're going to dive right in. There is a backing track at the end of this video that you can play along with and practice these licks that I'm about to share with you. So make sure you hang around for that as well. And again, I'm going to share some little tips and tricks along the way that's just going to help your lead guitar playing overall. All right, so we're starting out on an E minor note here. We're on the G string. We're starting out on the 9th fret. And I'm going to break this little riff down, this lick down into 3 sections here real quick for you. So we're starting out 9, then we're going 11, 12, then back down, then back up again. So that's the first part of that. So pretty simple. Again, it's just 3 notes. You're going up, down, and then back up again, or however you want to say that. Now, one thing I want to point out here is when I'm hitting that first note, I like to give that E minor note a little vibrato. I don't want to just hit it. I want to give it just a little vibrato there. And when I came back to it, when I went back to it there, I gave it some more vibrato. You don't have to overdo that. And I know my vibrato looks a little funny to other people sometimes. There's no really right or wrong way to do that. Just give it a little flavor is all I'm saying. Just, move that finger around just a little bit on the fretboard. Practice that. I know this is not a vibrato lesson, but if you need to stop and just practice that. Just practice that and just play whatever feels comfortable to you. So that's just kind of a side note. All right, so let's go back to this. So that's part 1. Again, just 3 simple notes there. Part 2 of this little lick is we're going to take our pinky finger, which is on the 12th fret. That's where we land on. We're going to slide that up to the 14th fret. Then we're going to go back to 12 and 11. So real simple there. 14, 12, 11, 12. That was part 2 of that little lick. Now part 3 here, this is where we kind of get in a little bit more complicated territory, especially if you're new to playing lead guitar here. We're going to integrate some more strings here, and there's actually a little piece at the end I'm going to show you that kind of gives the lick a lot more heart and soul here. So let's go through, I'm going to go through the whole thing so you can hear how I go into that part 3 here, okay? Here's part 3. So again, we're integrating some more strings here. So we land back on that 11th fret on the G string. We're going to go to the D string and go to the 14th fret. Then back to that. So it's 11, 14, 11, back and forth between that G and that D string, okay? Then back to the 14th. Now we're going to do something a little interesting here. We're going to go over to the A string, 12th fret. Then we're going to roll our finger onto the 12th fret of the D string, like this. And I am not alternate picking that part. I'm actually down picking both of those notes. So when I come off of that 14th fret on the D string, I'm going to downstroke 12th fret A string, then 12th fret D string. Now what I do for this particular lick, and I just wrote this by the way for this video, I actually mute that, I palm mute that a little bit. Two reasons why I do that. First of all, it cuts down on any string noise that I might create in rolling my finger there. Secondly, I just like the sound of it. So I'm gonna play this all the way through slow one time, okay? Now let's play it at what could be, I guess, normal speed. This really doesn't have a speed, by the way. Again, I just made this up, so here we go. All right, so we're starting out just like the first lick. We're starting out on the G string, and we're actually messing around with those same three notes, but we're kind of playing them backwards. So I'm starting out G string, 12th fret, and I'm just going down, okay? I'm going down to the 9th, so 12, 11, 9. And again, we're alternate picking all of these notes here. Now, we're gonna take that exact same pattern or that same configuration. We're going to go to the B string. Our frets are going to be 13, 12, and 10. So if you need to stop here and just practice that first part, going from one string to another, feel free to do that. You can pause the video and do that and just play this. Because if you're new, it can be a little bit of a challenge because of the way you're alternate picking there. So again, just pause and practice that if you need to, and then come back and finish the rest of it. So moving forward, after that part we play on the B string there, we're going to play another series of notes, of 3 notes on the B string. We're staying on the B string for this part. And we're going to be playing the frets 15, 13, and 12. So for this particular lick, I'm going to start all the way over and go to that point again, okay? Okay, the last part to this, we're going to move over to the E string, and we're going to be on frets 15, 14, and 12. So let's play it all the way through. Now, what I do at the very end is just a bend on that 15th fret of the B string, and I'm going to bend it up an entire step here. Now, a few things about this riff that I want to go over with you. One is between strings, so that I don't get string noise, sometimes I'll kind of palm mute between the strings. As you get used to doing this and kind of feeling this, you'll get better at it, and it will be just a natural thing that you do. So, because if I didn't palm mute at all, it might sound like this. Which I pulled that off okay, but there was some noise here in the room. If you couldn't hear it on video, definitely some noise here in the room. So what I'll do sometimes is I'll play the riff on the one string, play the lick on the one string, then I'll lay my palm down on my bridge here, okay? And before I go to that next set of notes, especially when you're changing strings, this is just something again that you'll pick up over time as you play more. Another thing you'll notice is when I bend this note up, okay, you heard some noise on that from the E string, but I'll take my first finger and my thumb, and I'll mute the other 2 strings. So watch closely what this hand is doing. Now you have to be careful that those 2 fingers don't touch the B string as you're bending it, because that can happen sometimes. And then as I'm bending, or when I'm coming back down from the bend, sometimes I'll just bend it, or I might And all I'm doing there is from the 15th fret, I'm going back to 13 and 15 again. Now you could try it between 15 and 12 as well, back and forth, you know, between those notes. Sounds a little bit cooler with that 12th fret, but since it's so quick, I don't really worry about it. Oftentimes when I'm bending, I'm also using that finger, that first finger, is a little bit of leverage to get that note up there, and it just kind of adds some sustainability. And I know I'm kind of getting off track from the alternate picking, but I like to give you these other little tips to go along with it just to help you out. Okay, so that's that. Let's go through that one more time, real slow. Now, I did not play that fast to intimidate you. That's not what I'm here to do. I think most of you guys know that. But I wanted you to hear the true nature of this type of lick and how you can ultimately build up speed and play this fast. I'm going to show you a little trick on how to get there faster as well. So let's start out with the notes. We're on the D string here. We're pretty high up on the notes on the fretboard here. We're going to be starting out with frets 16, 17 and 19. I almost forgot how to count there. Now, the little trick, I'm going to start out with this, and it's not really a trick, but what I'm doing is I'm just repeating that pattern. So that allows me to play it a little bit faster as opposed to having to go to a different string right away. So it almost gives that illusion of playing faster, and you know, it just, I don't know, it's just smoother to be able to do that on the same string before you go to that next string, because going from string to string, sometimes you can lose a little speed and sometimes accuracy. So this kind of is like a double whammy, no pun intended, although I'm not using my whammy bar in this. Here we are at on the D string, and we're going to be playing frets 16, 17, and 19. So again, I'm playing that twice. Now, little trick number 2 is I'm kind of palm muting that as well. And what that does, I love the palm because it eliminates string noise, and it can make your notes sound a lot smoother and a lot more accurate. We have to play the note accurately, of course, to hit the note accurately. But with a palm mute in there, that kind of helps you muffle that string noise that would be if you didn't. And also for metal guitar playing, to me, again, it's a personal thing. It just sounds really, really cool. So here we go. Now, I'm not doing a hard palm mute, and again, I'm kind of getting off the alternate picking here. That's what this video is about. I'm not doing a hard palm mute. I'm just doing just enough to, again, muffle that noise and just give it a little bit more punch. Okay, so play those notes twice. D string, frets 16, 17, and 19. Now, the cool thing about this particular pattern is on the next string over, the G string, we're going to play the exact same pattern, frets 16, 17, and 19. So we're going D, then G. Now, you could pause the video and just practice those two. Now, the next and final piece to this little lick here is once we play those patterns twice on the D, then twice on the G, we're going to start over again, go back through that same pattern, but only play it one time. And then we're going to end on the B string, the 17th fret. That's that little finale note there, okay? So it's going to be... And again, you see how I put my 2 fingers on the surrounding strings. I often do that, even when I'm playing live sometimes. If I've got a note that's going to hang out there for a little bit, I'll try my best to mute the strings around it, especially when you're playing through a live amp, which is what I'm doing right now. I'm not playing through plugins, by the way. I'm playing through a live amp here. So let's go through this pattern all the way through, okay? I'm gonna break this down and go through it slowly. Let me slow it down just a bit more. Alright, so this lick is very similar to the last lick when it comes to the tactic we're going to use to kind of build up speed here. And again, I'm not playing these parts fast to try to intimidate anyone. I'm not trying to be like Stuart on Mad TV, look what I can do. I've been making that reference a lot lately. I just think it's hilarious. But I just want to show you the power behind the way we're learning how to do this. And it's just going to help you build up speed a little faster, I believe. So the difference here, and again, it's very similar to the last lick, the difference is instead of going from low to high notes, we're just reversing that. We're going from high to low notes. Now we're using some different notes here. I am using one of the same tactics though, and that's just doubling up on one of those little phrases that we're playing, and that kind of helps speed things along as well. That was a pun. All right, so we're starting out on the E string, and we're going to be playing 3 notes on the E string from frets 20, 19, 17. Okay, then we're going to go over to the B string. We're going to play the exact same thing, okay, 20, 19, 17, but we're going to double time that one, or play it twice. Okay, so far we're here. Now, how I think of this in my mind when I'm playing, okay, when I'm playing a solo like this, I think of this, splitting this up into different sections, and I think of this as being section 1. That's section 1 of that little part of the solo. Section 2 is when I play that the second time on the B string. Now we finish off by going over to the G string, and we're going to play a little bit different finger configuration here. We're going to be playing frets 19, 17, and then it gets a little chromatic here, 17, 16, and 15. Counting backwards is kind of hard sometimes. All right, so 19, 17, 16, 15. Okay, and that last little note that we end on doesn't quite belong in that scale, and there's a fancy term for this. I'm not going to get into the theory and all that stuff here. I just really want to show you some different things that you can implement in a real world scenario and playing a guitar solo, so that it sounds, it spices things up a little bit more. So that little note that we're hitting at the end there just kind of gives your solo that extra push and kind of extra like wickedness as well. All right, so let's go through this entire pattern. I'm going to go through it slow. And lastly, you see I do a little vibrato on that last note there on the 15th fret. And that's, again, just to give it that extra little push, that extra little flavor, and just gives the solo some more character. Now it's time for the backing track. First though, what I want you to do is remember the patterns, or at least some of the notes and the places that you were on the fretboard as you were playing those patterns. And feel free to always go back and relearn those patterns. In fact, there's timestamps in the description of this YouTube video to where you can go to each lesson, and of course the backing track that we're about to play as well. So, you know, be sure to go back through those, learn those notes, and just become familiar not only with the patterns but the area on the fretboard which you're playing, and expand on that, okay? Kind of like tie those in together. So I want you to practice your lead guitar playing, alternate picking only. You can throw a little downstroke, kind of like we did on the first exercise. You can throw that in every now and then if you want to, but really focus on the alternate picking here. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this alternate picking exercise or exercises in the key of E minor, and more so, I hope you had fun playing along with that backing track. Had a lot of fun writing that. Again, I make everything up as I go, so I have no clue what I just played, but hey, you do because you have this video to always go back to and jam along with it. Real quick, be sure to check out the links in the YouTube description. There's actually a link where you can download my free riffs and licks practice guide. So if you don't have that yet, go ahead and download that. That's going to be really helpful for you. Also, there's some more links to go listen to my music and some other stuff, so please check that out. Those are ways you can support me and support this channel. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you had fun with it. Until next time, as always, keep it metal.